Welcome to the first webinar of USAID and Reliance Foundation Women Connect India Speaker Series. As most of you know, my name is Ritesh Datta. I'm a Gender and Technology Advisor at DEI Global. I'm going to be your host for this series, and thank you for joining us today. So to start with quickly a little bit about Women Connect Challenge, which is a grant-making initiative started in 2008, focusing on the role of technology in empowering women. And Women Connect Challenge India is the national version of the initiative rolled out by USAID and Reliance Foundation. This speaker series, planned as part of the India Challenge, was designed for the India Challenge winners, which is all of you. And each month, over the next few months, we will keep inviting domain specialists to support you, to bolster your understanding of the subject, of what's happening around gender digital divide and programming and designing more impactful programs, which all of you already are. Just to sort of let you know that the upcoming monthly webinars that we have, there are 3 more which are going to happen after this. The one which we're going to do on the October 20th is going to be about technology ecosystem for India's rural and marginalized communities. On November 24th, we'll have a webinar on digital solutions for gender digital divide program design. And on December 15th, we will talk about access to government schemes enabled by technology. Today's one, the first one of this speaker series, is called Gender Digital Divide Programming Strategies, Global and Indian Context. And as India marches towards becoming a $5 trillion economy, so much focus on digitization, the prevalence of gender digital divide, obviously, in our country, disproportionately affects the progress and development as we move forward, affects the development of our women, that is. Estimates tell us, especially the GSMA studies tell us that Indian women are 15% less likely than men to own a mobile phone, 33% less likely to use mobile internet services. And this gap obviously gets bigger as we move out of urban areas and move towards the rural areas and marginalized communities. The India's nonprofit community, obviously, all of us, including the winners of the Women Connect Challenge India, will surely play a major role in bridging this gap, which we're sure about. And in today's conversation, we are going to sort of be exploring some of these thoughts, and especially some globally proven program designs for initiatives, which are looked at minimizing the gender digital divide. And to discuss these strategies, we have with us today Mr. Osama Manzar, founder director of Development Empowerment Foundation, a global leader on the mission of eradicating information poverty from India and the global south. He is a renowned name in the technology for development space. Osama has also, as I told you, is the founder of Development Empowerment Foundation, which has digitally empowered more than 20 million people across the country. He's a British Chevening Scholar and an International Visitors Leadership Program Fellow of the US State Department, among so many other hats that he wears. Welcome, Osama, and thank you for taking the time to be a part of this conversation. We also have Dr. Ravi Starling. Ravi, who has been a recipient of the Anita Borg Institute Women of Vision Award for Social Impact and the 2019 Engineered Award for Women in Technology. She's also the director of the USAID Women Connect Challenge. Before this, Ravi has been a chief of party at NetHope. She's directed the Women on the Web Alliance, and she also founded and directed the first Information and Communications Technology for Development professional master's program at the University of Colorado Boulder. She's done so many other things before this as well, and she sort of serves on leading in gender and technology, several gender and technology boards. For me personally, she's a friend, she's a mentor, she's one of the coolest bosses I've worked for. So welcome, Ravi. And so I also wanted to point out before we start that we have a hashtag for this program, very fancy for us, which is hashtag WCC India. Please remember to keep posting content on the social media platforms you're active in during and after this webinar. And please remember to use hashtag WCC India for all your posts. Also, as we get into the conversations, you can post your questions on the chat box as they come up, and we will ask our esteemed guests to answer these questions in the Q&A session at the end of the presentations. We will also have an open and live Q&A session after the presentations are over. Coming back to the actual conversation, as you know, Women Connect Challenge is a global call for solutions to improve women's participation in everyday life by changing the ways women and girls access and use technology. The challenge has supported innovative solutions by international development organizations across the world over these last few years. And learnings from these supported projects have been distilled into 5 effective practices in program design to ensure greatest impact. To start this conversation, we will have Reddy, who will introduce these effective practices I told you about, and maybe talk a little more in detail about them as well. Over to you, Reddy.
Thank you, Ritesh. It's always wonderful to see you, and thank you for the kind words. Hi, everybody. It's fabulous to be back in a Zoom room with you. So delighted you could make the time this afternoon to meet with us. Super excited that Osama is part of the team here, that we're working with the Dev Global team again with Savannah and Brian. So feels like a little bit of our old symposium last January. So also just delighted to kick off the speaker series. I know Ritesh has been working with all of you to flesh out some of your interests to be reflected in our webinars this fall. So looking forward to everybody that's going to be speaking on them, and just flattered and honored to be part of this myself. So let me kick off my slides. I mean, it's only been a year and a half we've been doing this, but I tend to always need a little lead time here. Ritesh, you want to give me a hands up for the slides if they come? Oh, yay, wonderful. Okay, well, first of all, you know who I am. I'm delighted to see you guys again. It was nice to meet on the group call last week. Thank you, Ritesh, for organizing that. And to all of our awardees and our Reliance friends that are on the call today, just grateful that this is really moving forward. It was so exciting to see the press release go out yesterday. The community of practice is under review and getting ready to be released to you awardees soon. So thanks for the momentum. Anyhow, to talk a little bit about 5 proven strategies, this is really what led me to want to start the Women Connect Challenge back in 2018 with the support of USAID. I have been working in this space for 23 years now, maybe 24. In any case, let's just round it down and say 2 decades. I've been looking at the fact that ever since technology came into communities, it, like everything, reflects the gender imbalances and the societal imbalances and inequities in communities. And even when we were just bringing the first mobile phones or the first tablet-based prototypes to different communities, it was evident to see all the things that we always know. The women were more reticent to use them. The men had very certain ideas about how women should use these things, etc., because women with information can obviously challenge the traditional status quo, can be disruptive, and I think those are wonderful things. Many families don't think those are wonderful things. So a lot of what I have seen with the challenges is that technology can be such an enabling force for women. I mean, here's getting all that development and health and education and entrepreneurial entertainment and edutainment information that we all need to have a richer, fuller life and to make better decisions and to compare things and go, okay, this is what's right for me and my community and my family, to be enabled to interact with information, to share information when there's all these barriers around women's use that makes it such a challenge. And so what I got very tired of seeing were all of these initiatives that just gave technology or airtime to women, because we know that doesn't get to the actual root causes of access and use issues. So the Women Connect Challenge was really predicated on looking at these social norms and these cultural barriers that continue to keep millions of women and girls and marginalized populations offline and underconnected. And thus, we keep adding to the gender digital divide while we're trying to close the overall digital divide. And none of us want to do that, but inevitably that's the outcome. So the Women Connect Challenge has been amazing because we have 5 iterations of it. The India one that is specific, obviously, to this group, but the 3 global rounds of the Women Connect Challenge. And of course, you heard from 2 of the Indian winners, Gramvani and Epod, at the symposium. This also kicked off a set of activities we're doing with Microsoft and their airband initiative, one in India as well in the north called Air Jaldi that Ritesh knows well. And then, of course, we've got the India-specific USAID project. So this is just a look to see where we currently are focusing, and now we need to add your names to the list. So this is going to be super exciting. This graphic needs to be updated soon. So what I've noticed, and none of these are brand new findings. I mean, the first paper written on the gender digital divide that really grabbed my attention was in 1997 by a woman named Sophia Hoyer, who then served on my dissertation committee because I was so impressed with her. And I thought, I want to be you when I grow up. And she laughs at that now because apparently we're both very grown up. But in any case, she really talked about how there was going to be this coming digital divide across gender access, unless we looked at very specific social norms, underlying issues, et cetera. And this continues to go back and be the root of the causes that I see with the gender digital divide. My take is that in my experiences, women that can have phones and want phones do have them. Some of the poorest women I've ever worked with that have to, that would rather, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, but will spend their money on airtime rather than food, they're enabled, they have a phone. So then what do we do with all of these wonderful communities out there that are looking towards development schemes and looking to, increase their resilience in all this uncertainty, and yet their women aren't allowed to use technology. So this unequal equation is what really does keep me up at night and drive my career. And it comes down to what I think really are these 5 proven strategies again and again that we must look at and we must address before anyone hands technology to a community. Otherwise, these are the things that are going to continually get in the way. And as I go into them, I just want to say, this is always a rough one, because they look so obvious. Of course, change your social norm, cultivate women's confidence. And yet these are the hard and almost intractable issues in so many communities. And this is where donors really have a hard time, because most of our donors are in the technology space. They're not in the social sciences space. They look at this and go, well, what do I know about creating women's confidence? I mean, we're not psychologists. We're not, this is not our focus. We're not anthropologists. We're not gender studies experts. We're a technology company, and we really want to close the gender digital divide. And now you're telling me I have to go be a social scientist. And yes. And this is why so many high-tech issues and initiatives fail again and again, because we don't go to those deeper levels. So this is sort of my call out on how to do that. And I hope when we go through these 5 strategies, you can think about where this works with your projects, where you might have some questions about how to apply it. And then, of course, just contact me if you say, hey, what do you think this sounds like? I'd love to run some of these ideas by you. Okay, well, our first one, I hope everyone got a chance to read the 5, are really changing the social norms themselves. And I'm going to give examples of projects around the world from Women Connect 1 and 2, because they're the furthest along, obviously, and they've been the ones that have borne out these again and again. So this first project I love to talk about, it's in northern Nigeria, where conservative Muslim clerics across the region had banned women's internet use under the grounds that it was immoral. And here's this wide swath of area. It's very politically active. This is the areas where Boko Haram is active. There's a lot of migration. There's a lot of religious and tribal conflict. And this is a kind of place where women would really benefit from information as opposed to being shut down from it, to understand how to be resilient in these times, to understand what is news versus fake news, et cetera, because this is a very, tumultuous area of the world. Also, it really sets the example in this area, Kano, Nigeria, for the rest of the region. It's a very well-respected intellectual community, religious community, et cetera. So working with the women in Kano was fabulous, because it really showed that if they can do it, everybody across the region can. And we worked with these conservative clerics to understand, okay, you've said no internet, you've said no phones. Under what conditions could women ever use technology? And worked with them on a curriculum that really educated the whole family about benefits and threats of the internet and being connected. Worked with families and units. This is a polygamous community, so working with groups of wives, groups of children, husbands were part of this, the clerics were part of this. It was a really amazing cross-community collaboration to understand how you could safely reap the benefits of connectivity without falling into a trap of immorality or bringing shame on your family, etc. And this was coupled with both a community, both with a radio show and TV announcements from local clerics and local cinema stars. And again, and after about 6 months of this, 7 months, 9 months, this order against the internet was lifted, and you had past clerics saying, actually, it does make a lot of sense, and good families that care about education, we can, there is Quranic justification for this. So we really, really helped, create new social norms for women vis-a-vis technology in this community. Let's see, let me go on to my next slide. Another big thing, of course, is creating economic opportunities. This is one of our projects in Mozambique, but it's important for all projects because most people want to connect so that they can gain something, not just lose money. As we know, the total cost of ownership of technology is really high. You have to charge, you have to have your data plan. You may need to learn skills that, may require tutoring, or for you to go to a cyber cafe, something like that. So in Mozambique, we worked with Bluetown, an ISP provider, to really try to lower those costs of barrier, not only provide a lot of entrepreneurial material for women in both the local languages and Portuguese, the national language in Mozambique, but to also really get down to understanding how can we save money by actually engaging more with technology. So they have a solution that has an offline internet. So once you connect with your phone to your device, you can actually take a cached version with you and thus save time on data plans, etc. There was a rent-to-own phone model. So for women that didn't own phones, it was a feasible way of paying a little bit every month and being able to access phones, so you're not left out of the divide by just not having a device. And then the opportunities online, there was just a lot of focus on entrepreneurial rural activities, so that when women would watch these video series, et cetera, that were created for them, it would be something relevant to their crops, their timeline, the weather in a certain area, the climate, the other conditions. So much of the entrepreneurial material out there is so basic and so general, and it's not really focused on women locally. And that's been the huge difference with this one. This is an important one because it really does get to that kind of psychological piece of why do we want to connect and who will connect. And I've worked with so many women around the world who say, don't bother training me, I'm too stupid, or my phone speaks French and I don't speak French. People use excuses all the time when in fact they just don't know enough and they're scared. They've heard about scams and fraud and sexual harassment, and they don't want to get in trouble with their families. They don't want to break a device. Maybe this is the only phone a family has. In a lot of cases, it's a hand-me-down from a different community, a different country, hence the language issues. Maybe the women are illiterate, as you can see in this corner here with our project in Tanzania. Women are learning how to spell their names by looking at the keyboards of the phone. So there's a lot of stuff that just goes on with the interplay between digital literacy and regular literacy. But what we worked with Viamo and their IVR solution, the 321 service, was to put on a channel just about women and men could call and understand, what is this internet thing? Why would I want to be online? What is social media? How do I stay safe? What kind of phone do I need to have access the internet? So this IVR tree of all of these great topics that people don't know anything about, and thus are intimidated to access a phone, a PC, go into a cyber, things like that. So this is a great program, and about 250,000 women did call in and get information on just what this internet thing is. What is email? What is Facebook? So building up that confidence to then make the choice to say, yeah, I can do this. Another great project that I love is really, and I think Osama is going to touch on this much more in the Indian context, of course, is the fact that, and most of my work is in Africa, as you've seen, so that's obviously where I'm keeping my specificity. This is a project in Bamako, Mali. Bamako is the capital of Mali. The women that we worked with were women collectives in 5 slums in Bamako, and 98% of them are illiterate or have low literacy skills. At the same time, that doesn't mean that should cut them out of access accessing the internet and all the information that's out there. The other problem is that their language is Bambara, which is spoken by 20 million people. But if you haven't heard of Bambara, it's because there's very little Bambara content on the internet. It's an unwritten language. The Unicode support is pretty spotty for it. And so this is just, not only does the internet not support your language, it doesn't have any content in your language. So it doesn't make the internet a great place to be. And yet you have all of these resources there, especially during COVID. So the women from these collectives, 52 of them, came together and we co-designed a social network for them. We used kind of the best features they liked from WhatsApp, the best from Facebook, etc., and put it in an entirely oral and visual setting. So it's a completely text-free interface where women can exchange health clips, voicemail, videos, etc., with the health clinics around Bamako. And now it's turned into a much larger project where women are using this for marketing their goods, for getting COVID information out to each other, for doing collective bargaining over goods. So it's been a really exciting project. I love this social network. And then last but not least, of course, is we have to develop the community support in these places. If all we're doing is working with the women and trying to empower them, then obviously we are risking marginalizing men, elders, other people that may have some issues about this, may need to be engaged. So my biggest hurdle is always going into communities. Also the biggest challenge is working with the gatekeepers to help them understand why this is such a benefit for their community, how we can make it safe, how we can make it profitable for the community writ large. And that's been the most important part, is of course working with elders, community leaders, religious leaders, educational leaders, large scale employers, to understand how to make this a benefit for everybody. So in this case, we've got about, between the Microsoft projects and the AFCHIC projects, which is an NGO we work with a lot in India, we started doing women's community networks. So these are networks, ISPs, run by women, so who are setting up internet access for the first time in these communities. And the community is just so happy to have the internet and have a group of women trained to be sort of network engineers, in the community, that there haven't been the gender dynamics and pushback that there would be if another organization came in, gave the roles to men, they're the engineers, they're the ones climbing the tower. No, this is women run from the very beginning. And there have been no gender pushbacks, even in some very conservative communities. So it all depends on how you go in and build that community support that, of course, keeps your project alive for the long run. So I'll just end with this slide. You'll see one of the pictures here is from India. That's in Chhattisgarh with the EPOD project and geophones. But for me, this is really all about achieving SDG Target 5B, really improving women's lives through ICT and digital development. I hope the 5 strategies have sort of made sense in your project standpoint, but these are the pieces that I believe and have now an evidence base to show must be met in order to be successful, applicable, appropriate, sustainable, all the words that we're trying to strive for. So if you're challenged with one or more, or you have some ideas, or this is not right in the India context, or can we expand this a little bit, please work with me. Let's figure this out together and make sure that there aren't these hidden social barriers and cultural constraints to women's technology use.
Great. Thank you, Ravi, for this presentation. I'm sure a lot of attendees have a lot of questions. I have a few questions for you, which I've written down, and I look forward to discussing all of it, during the question and answer session. So thank you for that. Our next speaker, Mr. Manzar Osama, has been actively working across the length and breadth of India and beyond to digitally empower marginalized communities. Let me now invite him to share his learnings and experiences around the practices which Ravi shared, and obviously other things that he has sort of learned from his experience from the Indian context. Over to you, Osama.
Hi, thank you very much, Ritesh, and thank you, Ravi. I can't really share so much of information which Ravi managed to shared in just 10 minutes, 12 minutes, but I need to figure out which tab to show you the presentation. Ritesh has been asking me to show the presentation, which I have not been able to make. So I am putting all the screen in front of all of you. You figure out which one do you like. Okay, so basically, I wanted to share, what we are discussing here is two most important thing. One is technology, of course, and the second is women, and the third is development. And if I can add, sustainability. Uh, 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 I would like to not focus on just that we have done a kind of thing that women are connected, women are entrepreneur. I would like to just share with you 15-20 years of learning of the role of technology and the role of women. And especially, Ritesh, can I take off the screen for 5-10 minutes so that I can, talk concentrated on the concept, and then I may be able to show something.
Yeah. I mean, so if you want to just keep talking, please go ahead.
Yeah. So
yes,
yeah.
Please do that. Yeah.
Okay, so because I also want to see all of you in front of me, I feel like my presentation in front of me, I'm talking to my own self. So I just want to share that technology and internet are feminine, but they are in the hands of men. So that's the reason our numbers are skewed. And, that's the biggest reason. Actually, internet and technology is feminine, and we need to give it back to the women, and not to take control of it. The entire skewed number that we have in most of the developing country, and the people, about 3.5 billion people who are not connected, and most of them are women, is because that we have treated technology top down, we have adopted top down, and we have considered women and everybody who is not connected as a second citizen or secondary citizen, or it's not part of the main business or development. So I mean, COVID has now proven that without technology we can't do anything. It's absolutely proven. So now everybody is talking about digital divide. Everybody is talking about gender digital divide. Everybody is talking about digital health divide, digital education divide, digital development divide, and so on and so forth. What is our learning? And I'm being very, very selfish in terms of sharing the learning, is that in the 15-20 years, and we learned in about 10 years, that if you give technology in the hands of women, it has spread faster. If you give technology in the hands of women, it is more sustainable than otherwise. If you give technology to the woman, it is entrepreneurial. If you give technology to the woman, the first development that takes place is herself, her entire family, and the community. And if you give technology in the hands of women, it is safe, secure, and less maligned. So these are 5-6 learnings that we have got. Initially, when we started, we thought, no, technology is going to be handled only by men. We chose men as an entrepreneur. We gave into the hands of them. Men are always moving around. They are not stable. And, it is left over. And then the community is also left over if the connectivity is given to, or access is given to that one. Second, the management cost of managing any technology and access and infrastructure is much higher when the men are managing, because of the low level of accountability, low level of responsibility, and high cost of monitoring and evaluation. So that is another thing that, and this is not a single of these things. I'm talking from the what you call as hearsay, or talking from the perspective of just a walkthrough observation. No, these are all proven from going one center to having more than 1,000 centers that we have all across the country. And now let me come back to talk about the nitty-gritty. How this technology has become from privilege to complementarity to desire to necessity. You all have seen that it has progressed. Initially, we all talked about, UN talked about, and everybody talked about digital inclusion, which is a very positive word, that Can we have you also included? Can we have the village also included? Can we have the poor person also included? Can we have the teachers also included? Can I have my daughter also included? So it's the more you include, you say, I have so many numbers, so many numbers, so many numbers. I have connected so many people and so on and so forth. But now you reverse the agenda. When you say that somebody is not connected, that means if you are not connected, that means you can't do transaction, which is necessary. If you are not connected, you may not be able to talk to the doctor that is necessary at the time of COVID. If you are not connected, you may not be able to access ration, without which you will be hungry every month because you live below poverty line. If you are not connected, your biometric is not going to be authenticated, and therefore you will not get access to finance, banking, ration. Everything is now based on those bloody 16-digit numbers or 10-digit numbers, which has to be authenticated online. Even the jab, even the vaccination, you have to be online authenticated. So imagine from privilege to desire, it has become a tool of exclusion. And if you see that technology as a tool of exclusion, who are going to be the highest level of exclusion? It's women and children and the family, So it is directly impacting the woman and the family at the first instance. And if you connect the woman, suddenly you get them digital inclusion, the whole family included, the whole ration included, the whole health access included, and so on and so forth. And that is the beauty with this digital inclusion going as a necessity, but going through the hands of women. And now I will talk about some of the models, So, our model works in a very simple way. The last mile village is unconnected village. The more unconnected you are, the more we love you, because that is where our passion brings to your village, and therefore we feel the challenge, and therefore we bring those Wi-Fi or unlicensed spectrum and so on and so forth, and put connectivity, put a little infrastructure with a printer, with a mobile phone, with a little computer, and then look for who is this girl or a woman who is forward looking, who is taking risk, who is going out of house, who is doing all those work. And there is these parameters of proactiveness and taking risk and all that. And this is our woman, Now give this entire asset to this lady. Now tell this lady, okay, these are the 5 things you have got missing in your village. What is missing? Access to entitlement missing, because you need your ration, you need your pension, you need your every month you need to put your electricity bill or a water bill and so on and so forth. These are essentials, entitlements. The second thing, what do you miss? I mean, there you might be locked down. You have to go about 10 kilometers, 15, 20 kilometers to do the banking. No, you don't go anymore. Now you have a banking correspondent. This woman has got a POS machine. She comes to your home. She asks your biometric connectivity, and you are connected with the bank. You withdraw or you deposit. The money is right at the doorstep of you. The third thing, okay, your local health center is not bringing doctors. You want to talk to doctor? Here is a video call. Here is a video call. Here is a list of doctors. Do you want to talk to them? If you talk half an hour, you pay 20 rupees. If you are 1 hour, 30 rupees, 50 rupees. I also earn, the doctor also earns. You don't have to go around. And you consider 85% of the health issues are preventive and not curative. So you don't really need to all the time look for hospital. All you need is an advice. All you need is a consultation. All you need is a knowledge and information and share and advice and so on and so forth. Then you go entertainment. Entertainment is extremely important. All of us think entertainment is the last thing a village wants or an underdeveloped wants. No, that's the first thing they want. Because if you give them entertainment, they are suddenly literate, educated. They know every keyboard. They know every keypad. They know every screen, just because they have watched this video, they have watched this movie, they have watched this. And I can send you hundreds of photographs of these little children playing and watching movies, and they will tell you which 4 key that you have to push it on your keyboard to get connected to YouTube. They don't understand what is YouTube. They don't understand what is the website, but they know those 5 letters, clicking of which you will go to see your best actress or actor, and that is how they learn. So for them, there is no alphabet. It's all symbols, and mobile penetration has actually converted all the illiterate and uneducated people suddenly extremely literate and educated, because all you need to know is symbols. And that is exactly the reason why mobile has got all the symbol-based touchpads, or touch screen, or of going into deeper into every app. No app they get into by clicking TWITTER. No, they just click on that bird and they get inside. They just click on that arrow and they get into video, and they just click onto hanging F kind of thing, which looks like a shirt hanger. You click and you get into Facebook, and so on and so forth. And it's very, very interesting that now they do the whole e-commerce banking and all those things without even becoming literate and educated. And that is what we all planners and policymakers and designers and strategic thinkers need to really figure out, that are we designing literacy and education beyond script? Are we designing access to any kind of thing beyond alphabets? It's only symbols. It's only symbols now people are talking about. It's oral. The technology from written has become oral. The literacy and education has become no more script based, and it's all oral based. That's the reason why people don't even want to know. I mean, half the world is not even on Gmail or any email, but they do all transaction. They are only and only talking through WhatsApp kind of transaction of information, in audio, in video, in whatever. And that's the reason why the transaction-based purpose is going into the platform. I mean, what is started as a chat system, WhatsApp, is now a payment gateway. In India, you click there and you make the whole payment. Now you click the WhatsApp and you make the entire catalog of your shirts and your trousers and everything, and you put a price on that and you send it. And so it's really beautiful that how and all this is extremely fascinating when you work with women. Let me tell you, I mean, earlier when our centers were 100, more than 80% were men. Now we have more than 1,000. Now more than 80% is women run. And our cost of running all those centers with all those women is much lesser. And each woman know the pain of their community and society, that what is lacking, what is not lacking, what is important, what is not important, because every penny that they earn is directly spent on a purposeful activities. It's no more get a first package and straight go to the liquor shop. It's not like with women, it doesn't happen like that. So it's very important that the kind of initiative that you are running, the kind of purpose that you are running, is that we plan the whole development, whether it's health, whether it's livelihood, whether it's education, whether it's finance, whether it's government entitlements, whether it's entertainment. Can we orient this with a entrepreneurially run system by a woman who are connected, become a facilitator at a village level and unconnected level. So you become a Wi-Fi connectivity, person. And I would request if Ritesh and if you can run this one video that I sent for the rest of the people, how this woman in a sari is actually making connectivity at the last moment, just to make an inspirational pitch to the rest of the people that it is possible. It shows that it's not in the hands of people to connect people, men to connect people.
Yes, Osama, we're trying to get that.
Yeah. Okay. So I think broadcasting video on a Zoom is not easy option.
But it does allow us time to ponder upon some of the fantastic quotes that you shared, Osama. I have written some of them down. Technology is a tool of exclusion. And then there's another one Savannah pointed out. So yeah, please go ahead. We want more of those.
Yeah, so basically all the listeners, these two videos that I wanted to show, one is about, the hardest thing that one can think of is that you need a spatial engineering to run a Wi-Fi or an internet, and we have proven that it is not. We have several women and young girls learned how to do last mile Wi-Fi. They are establishing Wi-Fi, they're running Wi-Fi, they are maintaining and managing. And through one video, we wanted to show that. But if any of you is interested in how to maintain and manage a last mile, or how to maybe train any of your girls in your area to become Wi-Fi engineer without any qualification, zero qualification, we can help that one. That's number one. The second video was very interesting from the perspective is that we keep talking about digital literacy, digital skilling, digital entrepreneurship, and and we all think that, oh, we need a great curriculum, we need this and that and whatever. That second video is about a mentorship video where these tribal girls living in a village, and we have provided them a smartphone. And in an extremely patriarchal country like India, they are connected with the people like Lisa or Ravi or Shreya or Ajita or Tejashwini, anybody, and you are a mentor and they are the mentees. So they have a schedule every Saturday and Sunday to talk to each other for an hour on video call. No instruction, just have fun, just talk to each other. And obviously both are from two different worlds. One is very much interested in local culture, local tradition, local language, local food, local girls, and whatever your story is. And another is very important. Another wants to know where is Taj Mahal and where is New York City and where is this one. And then you want to know how did you reach there and all those. And all these lead to an automatic literacy and education of knowing what the world is and aspiration, and the least is speaking out. Because if you go to villages, our women do not speak, our girls do not speak. They just don't speak because that is the way it is. They are never considered that their aspiration is important. They are not considered as their desires are important. Their necessities are important. So they just don't know to express. So the first thing that it allows is just express yourself. And the second thing is that as soon as you start expressing, you start then converting yourself into translating to know some information, some knowledge, some literacy, some education, or whatever. And that video actually has got case study of even Sonia George as AFAI talking to one of the girls because she was a mentor. And we wanted to prove a point that even language was not a barrier, distance was not a barrier, culture was not a barrier, and geography was not a barrier. And it was working, and it was fun. And not only that, that program became a national Ministry of Government of Tribal Affairs, adopted it and made it a scheme for the country. So I just want to tell you that, there are many, many ways of doing this inclusion, this technology literacy, technology adoption, technology as a frugal adoption and not necessarily as a costly adoption, and all these unique things that keep on working about capacity building training is not always, we are very structurally educated. So we think that everything is required, that a structural way of going forward. Perhaps not, So these are the learnings that I wanted to share. I'm extremely sorry to have taken too much of time, but, I will send my presentation link, which is all online, lots of video link, all online, and very happy to reply any question or anything that anybody has.
Thank you, Osama. Yes, do please send the links and I will share with the participants. And as Osama mentioned, he's always around in case you want to directly reach out to him and ask any questions. So thank you for that great presentation, Osama. And let me now sort of quickly get into the next stage. I'll also invite Ravi along with Osama, and maybe we can start the question and answer round. It's an open session. If you have a question, you can sort of use the raise hand function, and we'll let you, introduce maybe your name, your organization, and then ask the question. Let me go first, if that's all right, because we already have a question typed in. from Ajita from Reliance Foundation. And she has a question for Osama. So Osama, what are some pushbacks you face in rural India when you try to technologically empower women? How do you deal with this challenge? And what are some proven strategies from an Indian perspective to convince gatekeepers in power? The three-part question, if you can sort of maybe talk a little bit about it.
Okay, so I would say the challenge was never something that we leave the village and run away. The number one challenge is the hesitation itself. And in a very patriarchal society, a lot of eye-to-eye talking. So if you approach women, they know that if they're sitting around men, they can't speak too much and things like that. Those hidden information that if I talk too much, I'm going to face a lot of flack and things like that. So patriarchy certainly is one of the things, and how we overcame is by making everything woman-centric. We said that this is the scheme, this is the plan, this is the project. This is only for women. This is not even for men. So if the women here are not going to participate in your village, in your area, we are going to go and benefit some other village. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, this is not only this is not really meant for. It's like government scheme. It's like government scheme only meant for something what you case as a lower caste or upper caste or whatever. You say that this is only for women. Like this goal program going online as leaders program, we made it tribal, we made it girls, and we made it absolutely for them. But we also said, you don't have to worry because a girl is talking to a woman. She's not going, we are not giving this smartphone to talk to some men or something. We know that she will, and that's what we want, but we don't say that, So we hand over that smartphone that, I mean, you have a liberty to do that, but she knows that as a scheme or as a program, it is woman to woman talk or a dialogue or something. Similarly, when we open a center and we choose an entrepreneur, we say that, listen, this is an extra hand that is going to earn, this is an extra something that is going to earn, and so on and so forth. So these kind of things usually work. The third big challenge that we have faced, the reply to which have not been able to find, is that we are never rich enough to provide every 2-3 kilometers or 10 kilometers a center or a provision or a entrepreneur. So therefore, even the girls end up traveling a lot, like 3-4 kilometers sometimes, going house to house, and maybe many people don't like it. So those kind of restriction of movement sometimes becomes a huge barrier, but we usually leave it to a gradual development, because gradually then she becomes the onus of the whole community. So wherever she is going, the whole community looks after her, So because she's serving the community, so it becomes more like, my children going to play, everybody else is watching, in the old scenario, non-gated colony, that kind of things. If child is growing as a village child, not a household child. So those kind of things has worked. What is another thing that has, over a period of time, we realize this upper caste and lower caste, higher caste and lower caste has played a lot of role. There's no doubt about it. When we used to have anybody who is from upper caste, the lower caste will not go to that place, not go to that things. And gradually we converted the entire provisioner or provider among the lower caste or minority or lower middle class, and so on and so forth. So these kind of things we have tried, and mostly it has worked. One last thing is that technology is always considered in any place as an inclusive thing. So nobody sees technology as a challenging things to their traditional things, because everybody thinks that it is going to give us some educational input or some kind of facility. Therefore, it is easier to. And sorry, again, took a lot of time.
No problem, Osama. Thank you. Ravi, I know that I've seen sort of you also have a lot of experience in India. I know you sort of played short to your India experience, but yeah, you have seen a lot of programs in India as well. Any thoughts around these challenges and barriers?
Well, I think with the gatekeepers, I mean, this is so important, like Osama has been talking about, et cetera, is to go and understand what's the root fear. Is is it safety? Is it infidelity? Is it empowerment? Is it these kind of things? And understanding with each community and each gatekeeper, it can be something very, very different. I remember working with a community in northern India where the mother-in-laws had said, look, I don't know where my daughter-in-law goes. If she's going to have a phone, there's, I don't know what I'm going to do. How I'm going to track her, et cetera. I don't trust her out of the house. And so we worked with them to put on location enabling, which, to me would seem like such a huge violation of privacy. But the women I was working with said, fine, let her see where I'm going. She'll realize I'm not doing anything interesting. I do the same thing every day. And then I come home. And, then that trust was built. It wasn't even about the technology. It was a weird dynamic that was exacerbated by technology, and technology could be used to help diffuse the situation a little bit. So I think we need to understand that root fear, that root cause of, I don't want you to have this. It's dangerous. It's empowering. I mean, first of all, also linking danger and empowerment need to, be a little unpacked too. But I think that's the biggest thing is you can have all the women in the world that want to do this. And it really is getting down to the gatekeepers and trying to create those win-wins. Maybe, maybe the issue is just, I need to see where you go for the first 6 months online. And if that's, and if people are willing to do that, great. If they're not, then perhaps they won't be able to use the phone. So I think there's all sorts of negotiations. It's not black and white at all. We have to be really flexible and understand that, this is a threat to the social order, but so is development. And so how do we do this in a way that is inclusive, people are benefiting, and we're not creating more problems on top of already very, very complex social interactions?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ravi. Yes, and this is so complex trying to understand the barriers and the roles that gatekeepers play and how do you get them. But then there were some other sort of points also which, which came out of the conversation, the inputs that both of you gave. For example, I remember you talked about edutainment, and Osama also pointed out how big a role entertainment plays. I wish we had more time to explore these aspects, but unfortunately, we don't, at least in this webinar, but I hope we get another opportunity to do that. I'm sorry, we would not have time for any further questions. I will have to wrap up because it's past 5 now. And I wanted to do that with a note of gratitude to both of you, Ravi and Osama. Thank you for the time to be present, sharing your learnings and experience with all of us, and for providing a fantastic opening to this speaker series. And I also wanted to thank all of you participants for the time that you've taken. And if you have any further questions, anything that comes up when you're mulling over this conversation, you can either directly write to Ravi, you have the email address, Osama is so approachable, or you can sort of send it to me and I'm happy to pass the questions on and start a conversation. Thank you once again for this beautiful and wonderful sort of conversation today. I wish all of you a great morning and a great evening ahead.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Ritesh. Thank you for.
And thank you to those 38 people who did not leave.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.